The useRef hook lets you store mutable values in function components. It takes an optional initial value and returns an object that stores the current value in its current property. So the current value can be read by directly accessing the current property of the ref object, and it can be changed by simply assigning the new value to the current property. Note that updating the current property does not cause the component to re-render. Let's look at an example. In this Stopwatch component, we declare a ref that stores an interval ID and we specify null as the initial value. Then, inside the start function, we set the ref value to the interval ID returned by setInterval. Finally, in the stop function, we clear the interval with the ID corresponding to the ref value and reset the ref value to null so that we can start the interval again. A ref can also be used to store the reference to a DOM node. This can be achieved by passing the ref prop to the HTML element. When we do so, React will set the current property of the ref object to the underlying DOM node when the HTML element mounts and will reset it back to null when it unmounts. For example, in this component, we use a ref to store the reference to the DOM node for the input, which allows us to focus that input when a button gets clicked. You might be wondering when to use useRef as opposed to useState. useState is used to store a value that should trigger a re-render every time it changes. For example, an input field value or data fetch from the server. useRef, on the other hand, is used to store a value that should not trigger a re-render when it changes. For example, a timer ID or a reference to a DOM node.